To feed or not to feed? That is the question. This hive is a swarm I caught about a month ago, and they're very small. When I hived them, I gave them 5 frames of drawn comb, and they have since drawn out 1 more frame. I didn't really give them any honey. Usually when I catch a swarm, I may give them a frame of honey to entice them to stay instead of leaving. It also gives them a good start and a foundation so that they don't run the risk of starving. But I didn't really give them any honey, and they swarmed at the tail end of our big nectar flow. And they're doing well. They look healthy. The queen is laying eggs, but they don't have a lot of brood going, and they're only using 3 of the 6 frames of drawn comb. The other 3 they haven't really moved on to. One of the reasons was I had them alternating with a drawn comb, an empty frame, and a drawn comb, and so on. And if they can't draw the comb between the drawn comb, if they can't draw the comb on the empty frames, they just won't move on to those other drawn combs. So when I did the inspection today, I actually pushed all the drawn combs together so that they're in a nice tight cluster, and put the empty frames on the outside edges, since we're at the end of the nectar flow season and they're not really drawing any more comb anymore. But they don't have any honey stores. One of my philosophies of being treatment free is also not normally doing any type of feeding. But I'm going to try a little experiment here today. I have a feeder. This is a Hive Tops feeder, and it's really nice. I like this type. You pour the syrup or honey into this chamber, and this covers the hole so the bees can't come all the way out. They can crawl down on this ridge. It's textured like a ladder. They can climb down and it won't fall into the syrup and drown. And the other nice thing about this is you can refill it without the bees coming at you. So I'm going to be trying out this feeder and giving them a quart of honey. This is enough honey for them to fill 1 frame of drawn comb. Normally I might just let them go and not feed them and just see what happens. They may be a strong breed of bee that doesn't require feeding. On the other hand, they might starve. Feeding or not feeding is really a personal preference, and if you don't feed, that's one way to keep bees. A lot of people do a lot of feeding. Now I'm not going to be taking any honey from them this year, but I want to make sure they have enough honey going into winter. Some people do feed with sugar syrup. I really don't like feeding with sugar syrup. I think it's unhealthy for the bees. So I have this honey. This is not really honey that I would want to eat. This came from brood comb, so it has a funny taste that I don't like. I actually did extract this honey with the intent of keeping it for the bees in case they need it. I'm going to put some shims in here to lift the box up off the deck so that the hive can still be ventilated. And I'll put this down right on the shims. Now before the bees are attracted to that, put the lid on so they don't drown in there. This feeder's a little too tall to put the lid on now, so I'm just going to put this box around it, and then I can put the lid on.